to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, a hearty good morning to all of you. Man, we got a busy sports day. We got a busy sports show. There is so much going on. Holy heck. Welcome into the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. Get us, Kick.com. Joining me here this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm ready to go tonight. Game 5. I feel like this series is flying by right now. The Toronto one, I feel like it took a whole year off my life. Florida went very, very quick, obviously. But even this one, I think, is gone. We're already in Game 5. I feel like it was just yesterday that it was Game 1. So
yeah, it's like
we're flying.
It's crazy, back up to New York, and here we go to see if the Lightning can somehow solve Madison Square Garden. And the Rangers have had a great home ice advantage there. We're going to hear from John Cooper, talk about that home ice advantage. We'll also hear from a Natalie-attired Victor Hedman. You see the hat he was wearing yesterday?
I did.
I like that hat. What is that hat? What do you call that hat? Is that a not exactly sure what you would call that.
I'm not the hat aficionado.
You're not the hat of, yeah.
So
yeah,
we might have to refer to somebody else, but very nice looking.
It's not a bucket hat, not a bowler hat. It's just, I liked it. Very chic for Victor Hedman. Very nice. So we'll hear from Victor Hedman as well. We got Todd Bowles talking about Bucks practice and OTAs. Very competitive out there. I saw Scott Reynolds last night at the Tampa Sports Club Hall of Fame banquet, which I got to MC. Very, very honored and privileged to do so. I'll be tell you what happened there last night. A lot of fun. And Scott said Jalen Darden is really, really showing out.
I have heard that.
Heard that. Jalen Darden out there. Mike Evans had a nice day. Jamel Dean with a pick. So we'll hear from Todd Bowles. He'll go over practice, what's going on there. Guess what? Tom Brady's talking today.
Ooh.
Tom Brady going to the podium. Literally, he could do 2 hours with local media, but he'll probably do about 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I'm going for 6 minutes.
You think it's 6 is
and think about this. This is big, okay?
Yeah.
Game 5 is big, but I might be looking as forward to this, honestly.
What would be your first question if you got Nick Geddes, your first question?
Put me on the spot here.
I think I think that the question I would like answered, but I know he's not going to answer. Tell me about the Dolphins.
Ooh.
Tell me what was your dalliance with Stephen Ross, your buddy there, and in the Miami Dolphins? Can you imagine, like, we were listening to those questions of Mickelson from the English press? I think the English press would definitely, they would go, Mr. Brady, quick question here, a couple of points, if I could. Number one, was there a serious conversation with the Dolphins? Did you force Bruce Arians out? They would just go double-barreled, accusation after accusation, boom, 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 boom.
That's probably what I would probably pivot to first.
Yeah.
And I know that it seems weird to bring that up now because we're 3 months removed from all this stuff going down, right?
Right.
It's mini camp. We're now in the home stretch.
Way, that's part of his strategy. He's not going to answer any of the questions in the middle of these embroilments.
Yeah, we said this. I told you that. What's going to happen is he's going to speak to the local media for the first time since the Rams game in June or July.
Yeah. And
when they start bringing up all these questions from what happened in March and April and maybe a little bit into May, he's going to say, guys,
that's ancient history.
It's Asian history. I'm focusing on the future.
Yeah. We're on to Cincinnati.
I'm here for at least one more year. I got practice.
Which, by the way, that is all that's important.
It is.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. I say 6 minutes because I can see a scenario where maybe he gets asked a question too many on one of these subjects. And because he did it in New England a million times. He said, all right, guys, I'm out. That's it.
If that's the first question, like, did you force Bruce Arians out? By the way, PR, I'm not asking that question. But somebody needs to, I always think about, I've been thinking actually about how do I formulate that question in the most respectful manner. I think the best way that you would do it is Tom, obviously there's been a lot printed, mostly by Mike Florio, about you forcing out Bruce Arians and your dalliance with the Miami Dolphins. Can you please set the record straight on both of those counts? That's how I would ask the question. Respectful, right?
Yeah.
That's respectful. That's assuming that it's kind of a Weasley way of not making that. But of course, that's not my accusation. But people out there have made those accusations and want to know the answer to those questions.
Tom, so tell me about what happened in March when you went to Old Trafford. What's the conversation with Mr. Glazer there? Did you sign it?
Quote, didn't meet with the Glazers.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to know.
Well, the
more
Glazers weren't there. As I told you, they have these secure a conversation, whatever, I don't know, with video conference rooms, ultra secure, that are at their key points in the globe.
So we've already come to the conclusion that trip was just, there was nothing funny business going on at that trip.
Oh no, I mean,
But we have that. We have that under conclusion.
Well, as we go through the timeline, and by the way, we're going to get to Game 5 and everything else here. Dave Mishkin's going to join us at 10:30. But we're already into such good conversation here. So Dave Mishkin's going to join us at 10:30.
Brady, I mean,
yeah. Well, we'll have some reports from minicamp as well. We'll hear from Brad Johnson. We'll hear from Hedman. We got so much sound. Todd Bowles, Donovan Smith. We got Mike Smith. Everybody coming up your way. All right. So yeah. So what's the timeline? See, he goes to Old Trafford, and then the next Monday, right, is when he unretired after talking to Ronaldo. And, of course, the narrative has been the Glazers weren't there. They did not meet. Of course, they didn't meet in person. They could have met video conference. Who knows? It just seems like the timing was very interesting. And we hear rumors of, him being offered ownership position in the Miami Dolphins. And we just, some of these, sometimes we throw things out there. You follow the money and you ask yourself, here's Tom Brady. You're the Glazers. He is in your employ, right? You have one of the, if not the, well, and probably not anymore, one of the most prized and public franchises in the world in Manchester United. You have a football team in the NFL worth, $5 billion. And you want to hold on to Tom Brady, who is the biggest sports marketing tool on the globe right now. And you're in a situation where you need to hold on to Tom Brady. And you have the leverage of using Manchester United, and you bring him over. Why would you bring him over to Old Trafford to sit in those seats and talk to Ronaldo if you're not trying to woo him back in some way? And if you were going to do said wooing, would you not woo with a piece of ownership in the most storied franchise in sports? If you were the Glazers, if you were coming up with a strategy how to woo one Tom Brady, would you not include that in your wooing?
I mean, I would.
1,000% you would.
So.
1,000% you would. Why? If you did not, then you're the worst business people on the planet, and clearly they're not the worst business people on the planet. Of course they did. And I mean, this is just conjecture on my part. But I mean, come on. If you have that at your disposal and you want to try and get Tom Brady back and influence him in any way you can, why would you not? And last time I checked, Brady is involved in some pretty big global brands. Why would you not want to be involved in that? I mean, come on. Of course you would. And it's a global brand. Obviously, Brady's vision and his business strategy is to look outside just the United States and look at his global branding, and none bigger than Man United. So, I mean, we could talk about all this stuff all that we want, but I would love to know the answers to those questions. But here's the other part. He ain't answering it.
No.
You can ask it, but he's not going to answer it. And there's not going to be any forceful follow-ups to, hey, Tom, you didn't answer the question. Can you really answer the question? And I'm sure he has plenty of stock answers ready with a smile on his face. It's like, well, Ronaldo and I talked about shoes, obviously. And there'll be stuff like that, but we're not going to get any meat out of it in terms of what happened with Stephen Ross, what happened with it all, if anything at all. I mean, once again, this is all conjecture. To me, that whole deal was on Stephen Ross talking to Mike Florio, telling him about his grand plans of bringing Sean Payton and Todd Brady to Miami. I'm sure he did have great plans. But, there's these other things called compensation. And again, we can relive this timeline and this Brady timeline. And and I wrote an article about it. It's up on fanstreamsports.com. You can check it out. a month ago about what I thought the timeline was and how this whole Brady thing worked out and Bowles and Arians and everything. And, it's in my opinion, talking to my sources and reading all the stuff and knowing that the timeline of everything else, that I do think Brady, in some ways, a part of his retirement strategy was if he wanted to go play somewhere else, he could maybe leverage that in retirement. But he quickly found out that the Bucs were not playing. And the Bucs played it absolutely perfectly. They said, look, you want to go play somewhere else? It's going to take 5 first-round picks. And when Bruce Arians said that at the Combine, that wasn't something he just, came up with off the cuff. It was part of their strategy to make sure that the Brady camp knows and the rest of the NFL knows that if you want Tom Brady, it's going to cost you an exorbitant price. And Tom, if you want to go play somewhere else, it's bad business for us. We're not just going to, out of the gladness of our heart, just let you go, oh, it's Tom Brady, he wants to go play some. Oh, sure, give us a 5th-round pick. Nah, not happening. Not happening. And they played it perfectly. And they forced Brady's hand. And you want to come play? I think personal is business. Here's a piece of Manchester United. Maybe when you're done, here's we'll give you carte blanche to bring back anybody you want. Who do you want? Fournette, fine. Ryan Jensen, fine. Godwin, fine. CD3, fine. Got it all. We were going to do that anyway, but good. I mean, that's the way it went down. And in terms of Bruce Arians, I wholeheartedly believe that Bruce was, in a very magnanimous way, an altruistic way, said, look, I want to hand Todd Bowles the Cadillac and not the Yugo. And that's the way to do it. This is what I've been about all my career, and I'm going to walk the walk. If I'm going to talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk. I got my Super Bowl championship. Here, Todd Bowles, here's your shot. I mean, that's I condensed it down a little bit there, but that's what I believe happened. And I think Brady, if asked about it today, will back that up. So we'll see. But
we'll see. Be interesting. I know you're gonna bolt your way over to $1 after here.
Yeah, I believe he's probably going to hit the podium around 12:30, so I should be able to be in place. And I mean, that's the way I would respectfully ask that question. And I think that's one of the questions people want to know. What else would you want to ask Tom?
Tom, I just want to know what it's going to be like for you to gain some more chemistry with these new guys in the offense and, Russell Gage and Cade Otton, Rashad White. I want to know those things too.
That's so X's and O's of you. Nobody wants to hear that.
I know that. I know that.
You're like, I'm going to ask the most non-controversial question.
See?
All about football.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it to the sports and keep it on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. I'm going to sit not in the first row, not in the second row, not in the third row, but in the 4th row, strategically placed in the aisle so he can kind of see me. Hey, Tom. And then while everybody's busy asking him about what happened the last 4 months, I'm going to ask him a nice poignant question about Russell Gage.
I got 1,000 questions before that one. Like, Tom, was that really a natural video we did with the Brady underwear the other day with Giselle, or was there an entire camera crew there completely staged to see your bulge in your underwear? How about that question? No. No. Let me think. What else? I will say this. He was at the Cut for the Cure yesterday and got his hair dyed red by one of the pediatric cancer patients, which I thought was awesome. He getting involved with the local community, even though it was inside $1 Place. That's fantastic. I know he's not going outside $1 Place. That's fantastic. This is what I've wanted to see him get involved in these things. And I know he's done some other things, but really immerse himself in not just football. And that was, to me, one of the most awesome things to see yesterday. I saw Brian Ford last night at the Tampa Sports Club event. He's clean shaven. He was there with Monty Kiffin and Brad Johnson last night, who were inducted into the Tampa Sports Club Hall of Fame. And may I, at this particular point of the show, what an evening it was last night at the T. Pepin Center. I can't tell you how honored and privileged I was to be part of that evening and to be able to MC an event where a lifelong friends and colleagues that I've known, and Gail Sirens and Monty Kiffin, had a great time chatting with Monty last night. He was fantastic. Monty goes up and he can barely walk. He's kind of hunched over and he can barely walk. And he comes out, he waddles out from behind the podium. He goes, "We're going to do this right now. Everybody wants you to stand up. Everybody stand up. Stand up. Hey, ready? When I say Tampa, you say 2. All right? Tampa 2, Tampa 2. All right, here we go. And he's like, gets up on the podium and he's sharing some stories. And then he's going on and he's just telling these great stories and thanking everybody. And then he just kind of wandered out from behind the podium. We only have one mic and he doesn't speak very loud anymore. And when he's in his regular speaking voice. And so he kind of wandered out from the podium. And I'm like, is he going to lead a cheer again? And he starts telling another story. I'm like, oh, nobody can really hear him. So I'm like, I better get the mic up there. So I took the mic off because I'm standing backstage at this point. So I took the mic off the holder, the wireless mic, and I went up and I held it next to him. And he's like, no, I got this. I got Coach. Nobody can hear you in the back. We want to hear your stories. He goes, all right. So I'm like holding the mic there. And he's going through this great John Lynch story about how when he was, one of the first calls John made after being inducted into the Hall of Fame or being announced, notified, was to Monty Kiffin. And I didn't know this story, but the Bucs said the year before moved him to linebacker. Lynch was playing a lot of linebacker. And Monty came in and he was, and Lynch was like, and he goes, Coach, I remember when you came in and they had me at linebacker. And you were like, and I said, Coach, I want to play safety, but you can move me down in the box and blah, blah, but I'm more of a safety. And you supported me in that. And here I am in the Hall of Fame. It was a great story. And then he goes, I got more stories. You want to hear more? I'm like, Coach, we got all night. You got all night. You heard the flow. The crowd was laughing. And he goes into another story. And he looks at me and goes, is that good? And I go, I think that's good. That's great. Great stuff, coach. And Brian Ford was there and he came up and he got a standing ovation. I was so quintessential Monty Kiffin. It was just perfect.
I was going to say, he went into the Ring of Honor, was it last year, right?
Yeah.
For the Bucs?
Yeah.
And I believe whenever he had his Ring of Honor press conference, so you might have been there,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And I think he spoke for a while too.
Yes,
and he jumps all over the place, right? With his stories. But what a character, and definitely another, like we reminisced yesterday about that 2002 team, and where would you be without the professor, I guess they call him.
Yeah, the mad scientist. The mad professor, you know. Yeah, just what a great name. And Brad Johnson, boy, he had some great stories. We had him on yesterday. We're going to play a couple of those stories that he told us yesterday that were just hilarious. The popcorn one at the Super Bowl it's got it. I mean, it's got the John Candy-esque Joe Montana flavor to it, except it's popcorn. So we'll play a couple of those bites from Brad yesterday. But he gave a great speech last night and really kind of woke up the echoes of that 2002 Super Bowl team. And when you think about it, when Brad was signed here, I think the fan base was indifferent. I think in most, they played against Brad as a Minnesota Viking, and they knew he could play. But I think there were a lot of people that were, Sean King was here, and then they brought in Brad Johnson, and I think the fan base was about him. But and I don't think the Bull gets enough credit for the team building that he did. And he talked about what he told us yesterday about going to war against Monty Kiffin and his defense and how that made the team better. And if you think about it, he was such a key component for Tampa Bay to become Tampa Bay. I mean, that was the moment we became a real sports city. Yeah. You agree?
Probably, yeah.
That was the moment. We legitimized ourselves with a true professional sports championship, and the biggest of all in the NFL, with my apologies to my Lightning employers, it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest prize a professional sports city can win.
Yeah, similar to how I won the Super Bowl. Yeah, similar to how I feel about the 2020 team, because that was the one that I saw in my remembrance here. I was too young for this one. That's the generation before me probably thinks that way about that one. They'll always be sentimental towards it. And getting that one, and then the Stanley Cup in 2004, you want to talk about legitimizing this town as a sports city.
Yes. Boom.
Huge. Yeah. Huge to get those. I mean, again, both franchises seem to love winning them around the same time. So hopefully we're on that same track again. This
18-year anniversary just a couple days ago of the Lightning win. So, but, Brad was such a key piece of bringing that first, and who knows if that doesn't happen, do all these other things happen, and we've grown since then, obviously. And I said this kind of in my opening remarks last night at the Tampa Sports Club. We've grown into a sports city now in Tampa Bay that has become a destination for players. I mean, for God's sakes, Tom Brady could have gone anywhere. Mm-hmm. He could have gone to any franchise, anywhere in the NFL, and he decided on Tampa Bay. I mean, if that doesn't legitimize you as a sports city and a sports town, I don't know what does. And then you follow it up with the Super Bowl win, and now he comes back to play for Tampa Bay, and here we are, the Lightning on the precipice of a third straight Stanley Cup. I mean, come on. It just doesn't get any better. It literally does not get any better. No professional city, none, has had a run like this. Super Bowl championship, 2 Stanley Cup championships within just a little over a calendar year, by the way. Also, the Rays going to the World Series. The Rowdies almost won. I mean, that's never been accomplished, and we're adding on to it. Now you look at it, basically a 2.5, 3-year run of 3 cups, a Super Bowl championship, a Final 8 in football, and with the playoffs last year. Your Super Bowl favorite again. The Rays are going to look like they're going to make the playoffs and hopefully make a run. I mean, my God, this is the golden age of sports in Tampa Bay. And if you ain't enjoying this, and if you think it's going to last forever, it ain't, by the way. That just doesn't happen. I mean, soak it up. Soak it up.
Doing my best over here to soak it up after what was a 15 years of absolute brutal mediocrity, and missed opportunities and close but no cigar. And I can't believe the 2 years that we've been through, now pushing 3. Like you said, we're game 5 tonight, looking to add a 3rd Stanley Cup, and maybe a 3rd or 4th Stanley Cup, 3rd in a row, and maybe a 3rd Lombardi this year.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3rd Lombardi.
Mean, you think about it. Boston ain't doing this. I mean, they had a nice little run, but not condensed like we've had. New York ain't even close to any of it. Philadelphia ain't close to any of it. Washington, D.C., nothing. Atlanta, nothing. Miami,
LA
squat.
is the only city that's rivaling us right now. But think about it. We're comparing LA to Tampa.
Right.
You want to talk about where it's easier to win.
And still, they're not, their hockey ain't up to par.
But they've won 2 Stanley Cups in the last decade.
True.
Let's keep that in mind.
And, in the Lakers championship. But again, the Rams got there. So they're close, but still
Dodgers.
not. But in the Dodgers, they're close, but they're not us. They ain't us.
Pretty close.
But they're L.A. I mean, L.A.
It's L.A. That's what I'm saying. To do it in Tampa.
Yeah, try doing it here in Tampa Bay.
A little bit different. A little bit different.
So, I mean, last night to me was just an amazing point of pride for me personally, to know these people that were going in on a personal level. Gail Sierens, by the way, a former co-anchor at News Channel 8, was just phenomenal. She was amazing. It's just a great message of just pride in Tampa Bay and growing up here and been having a and her amazing family that she has all around her there yesterday. So great to see. And Darren Pupa, Darren Pupa, That's a
name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. But Darren Pupa was, Brian Bradley and Darren Pupa were the first 2 big names to come to Tampa Bay and play here. And I forgot how good Pupa was. Pupa was a phenomenal goalie.
Yeah.
I mean, the team wasn't all that great, but they made it to the playoffs.
They made 96, right?
96, yeah. Playing against Philadelphia over in the Thunderdome, which is a better hockey arena than it is baseball arena. Yeah, I got to get that dig in. And so Pupa, we forget that this Lightning Foundation, in the early stages was fledgling, and to bring in a guy like Pupa, a big name, really helped, solidify this franchise here in Tampa Bay. He was one of the building blocks of what we're getting to enjoy today. So, his contribution cannot be undersold. And the other, and what Darren said last night, I thought was really, really great. Here's a guy who lived all around the world, traveled the world, came here as a free agent, probably thinking he'll be here for 2 or 3 years and play hockey and move somewhere else. 30 years later, he's still here with this huge family that was there last night. He's been here. He's been a great part of the Lightning organization. He's at the games all the time. You just love seeing, people that move here stay here, these great sports stars.
Let's get him to fire the Tesla coils or something.
Yeah,
the next home game.
Yeah, he's always around.
If he's always around, let's get him in there.
Yeah, he's been part of it. So it's great to see him last night. And then USF had a great presence. Michael Kelly was there. Brian Gregory, the basketball coach, was there to support Jose Fernandez, who was inducted, who's almost 20 years in now. 8 NCAA invitations. No other USF program, I think, comes close to that. It won the NIT in 2009, has been in the top 5. I mean, USF, again, tough place to coach, right? And he's had incredible success. 8 players have been drafted into the WNBA. It's amazing what he's done with that program. And then Allison Jolly, who was the first part of the first female sailing gold medal for the United States in Seoul, Korea in '88, and national champion, is the sailing coach at USF. And in that realm, in that sport, one of the tops to ever do that. And I didn't know her family goes back to founding Waimama in like the 1890s. Yeah, she's like 7th generation Tampanian. And she showed such pride in the Tampa Bay area, and having been here and now been able to coach here, and a gold medalist. And not many gold medalists that grew up in Tampa Bay. Very few. The list is very short. So what a great night. What a great night, and such an honor and a privilege to be a part of the Tampa Sports Club and MC the event. And I encourage everybody to join. It's the only place where we have our own Hall of Fame. We don't have a physical place for the Hall of Fame yet. I would like to see that somewhere, hopefully when we build a new baseball stadium, we can have a nice little room for the Tampa Sports Hall of Fame in the new baseball stadium. I'd like to see it in Amalie Arena. Would be a nice spot for it somewhere in Amalie Arena. Because we need a physical home for it. I think it's about time for that to happen. It's a club that's 61 years old. It's teetered at times, but now it's growing again. We need to get a younger, generation to come up and be part of it. So I invite you to be part of the Tampa Sports Club. They're reworking their entire website and everything else on social media, so we're getting that ramped up as well. But it's just a great club, and last night was a magical night, and just so glad to be a part of it. Really, really fun. All right, we got Dave Mishkin coming up at 10:26. Got to mention the Rays last night. 7 doubles, 18 hits, season high, 11 runs, all of those season highs. All 9 starters got hits last night, and to the delight of the 7,000 to 8,000 Cardinal fans that were there, and about 1,000 Rays fans that were there, because our Rays fans have been priced out of the series by our own owner. It's fantastic. So,
hey, we had a solid turnout yesterday.
What was it?
I think it was just shy of 13,000.
13,000.
For
wow.
a Wednesday night.
Nice.
I'm not even, I hope you're not being sarcastic, because I was dead serious. That's a pretty good for a Wednesday night.
Difference between lightning game and no lightning game.
Yeah. But regardless, 18 hits, 11 runs.
Yeah.
Quality opponent, by the way. They aren't beating a schmuck here.
Right.
Quality opponent that it came in red hot. I think they had a little bit of better record than the Rays coming in here. And the Rays, they stole the win from them on Tuesday night. Last night, beat up on them to where Yadier Molina had to pitch. By the way, he struck out Isaac Paredes on 3 pitches. I can't believe that. That's not a dig at Isaac Paredes. It's just funny to see Yadier Molina. I've seen Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols pitch this year for the Cardinals.
And Brett Phillips.
And of course, Brett Phillips, yes. God mode. The two-way players in the league right now, off the charts. And
the real one is struggling.
Yeah, the real one is struggling. And real quick, I might as well get this in here because it's hilarious. The Angels have lost 14 in a row, right?
Good God.
And now, apparently, to get them out of the slump, every single batter is coming up to a Nickelback song.
They're forcing them.
They're forcing them to come out to a Nickelback song, a different one.
Who's doing this?
I guess this has to be Phil Nevin, because the interim manager. But you said it. This feels like a Joe Madden.
It really does. It really does.
Remember when the Rays were going through the struggle and he brought in, what was it?
An anaconda, penguins,
anaconda, the hypnotist,
we had a salsa band. What didn't we have in there? It
feels like a Joe Madden thing. Which, side note, Nickelback's not that bad. I don't know where this meme came from, that they're the worst band in the world.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot worse.
Yes, I've heard a lot worse. I like a couple of their songs, but like that, this is like the power of groupthink. Once somebody puts out a meme and then all of a sudden Nickelback's the worst group ever. Like, how did that get started?
I don't know.
And why is it still a thing?
I don't know, but it's kind of hilarious to the Angels, but it didn't work. They lost again.
14 in a row.
14 in a row. But anyway, good night for the Rays. Randy Arozarena, by the way, has really starting to wake up. Manny Margot has not skipped a beat since coming back from the IL.
Yeah.
So I believe tonight we got it's McClanahan Day.
Oh. Well,
so
there
we're
we
going
go.
for a sweep. Let's get a sweep.
Sweep the Cards. Yeah. And not only are we going to take their money with exorbitant ticket prices that Stu put out there and force them to pay it and price our own fans out of the market, not only are we going to do it, but they get to watch a sweep. We take their money and they get to watch a sweep. So I guess in that way, Stu wins.
Yeah. And I think we got
It'd be nice to be our fans to be able to afford to go, but but that's okay.
We got a day game today, right? Yeah, 110.
110?
110 today. McClanahan on the mound. Should be very, very good.
By the way, we got a ticket hack for you that I'm going to
hack,
share with you. Yes. So you can't really use it this year, but you might be able to actually. We're working on that. All right, so we'll take a break. When we come back, Dave Mishkin, the voice of the Lightning, will join us, and we'll relive a couple of his calls from this playoff run. Just love the Mish. He is coming up next. Stay with us. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment. One 5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
Back for Hedman. To center ice and Kucherov up the right wing. Across the blue line, pops to Stamkos left circle. Stamkos, shoot, save made by Shesterkin. Rebound to Chernak right point. Left point Hedman. Across ice feed. Palat! Palat! Andre Palat! Off a touch pass from Kucherov!
What a call from the great Dave Mishkin as Andre Palat scores with 41 seconds left. The Bolts down 2-0 and the series down 2-0 in the game comeback. What a moment. Encapsulated by the great Dave Mishkin, voice of the Lightning, who joins us here. What's up, Mish? How are you?
I'm good, JP. How are you?
Oh, so many great moments already in these playoffs, man. The Colton goal, that goal. I mean, the magic that Kucherov and this team just continue to bring us. You know, I said it in my open here today. Folks, do not take this for granted what you're watching. This is some special dynastic hockey that we're watching, and a very, very special team. And we should all really enjoy it. I'll give you the floor. You've been in this league for a long, long time, to just kind of put in perspective what we are watching in this dynasty run of the Lightning.
Yeah, I guess I could say it's easy to get spoiled, but I don't get the sense that Lightning fans feel spoiled. I think they appreciate everything that this team has given them. It is very unusual, though, to see a team not only sustain this level of excellence. I guess the way I would put it, JP, is in these terms. In the NHL, when you get to, let's call it elite status, what that gets you is a place at the table and you're in the conversation. But being in the conversation does not guarantee winning a Stanley Cup. It does not even guarantee going deep in the playoffs. I remember tracking the Red Wings. They were entering the 21st consecutive season of what would be a 25-year playoff run for them.
Yeah.
And I was curious, in the past 20, so this was like early 2010s. So they had made the playoffs 20 straight years, and they were heading into year 21. I'm like, how have they done? Because I knew they'd had a lot of success. They won 4 cups in those 20 years, which by any standard is outstanding. Like any fan base would take that. 4 cups in 20 years, sign me up. Making the playoffs every year. Then there were 2 other years that they got to the Stanley Cup final and lost. So that's 6. And then 2 other years that they got to the semifinals, the conference final, and lost. So that's a pretty good record.
Yeah.
But if you add it up, that's 8, which means in the other 12 years, they went out in either the first or second round. And even if you like account for kind of the beginning and the end, and at 20, they were still a very good team. When it got to 25, okay. Like year 24, year 25, they kind of, were tailing off. They weren't necessarily expected to go deep, and maybe at the beginning of it as well. But they had some cup caliber teams that went out in the first and second round. My point is that in the playoffs, there is an element of a crapshoot, and you can run into a hot team. You might hit a little bit of a skid, which is not to say that you're not an excellent team, but sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And so what I have believed, at least up until this Lightning team has taken hold, is that like being in the conversation is about as good as you can hope for.
Yeah.
And then when the playoffs come, take your chances. Take your shot. Maybe the 1 year it works out for you. You get a break with not significant injuries. You make plays. You get some bounces. And you beat some really good teams. You have to beat 4 teams in a row to win the Stanley Cup. And so when you think about the Lightning have done, going back to 2015, they won the 2 cups back to back. But how many deep runs has this team had?
Yeah,
like the Stanley Cup final, conference finals. Yeah, they didn't win every year, and there were some really tough losses along the way. But this is fairly unprecedented. In this cap era. Even the best teams have not had a run of success of this length with this many deep runs in the playoffs. So yes, Lightning fans should definitely appreciate it. And along the way, like, you can win a lot of playoff games. It doesn't mean that you're scoring with like 5 seconds left games in the third period. So we've had a lot of those too, which are these signature memorable moments that just don't come around very often. And the Lightning under John Cooper, this era, like we've seen a handful of them.
Yeah. And Mish, in that, putting that in perspectives as only you can do, and did a great job of it. We fast forward now to this, what you might call a template of how this team has been able to make these long runs. And we're seeing it right in front of our eyes again. Get the opponent, figure out what they do, devise how you answer that, have the talent and the intelligence, the hockey intelligence, to implement that strategy, and then go out there and outwork them every game, do everything you can, block every shot, put everything on the line. I mean, it's I guess a lot of teams know the template, but be able to have the talent, the wherewithal, the leadership, the guts to do it and implement it is a whole nother thing. That's what I think makes this team more amazing than any other team I've seen. Would that be a fair assessment of what we're watching?
Yeah, and I think the fact that they made this adjustment after they got swept by Columbus did not guarantee success. But I think the fact that they made this adjustment, and what the adjustment was, I'm gonna explain in a second, has allowed them a level of versatility that a lot of teams don't have. And the adjustment that was made was buy-in from the players as far as what the coaches wanted them to do, which is, as much as this team can score and can skate and can play with pace and make plays, they needed to take some of the risk out of their game, which is not an easy thing to do. Like, if you're a stallion, you want to gallop, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the terminology. What is it, canter? Like, if you're a horse that can sprint, you're Secretariat, you don't want to go for a little trot, right? I'm not suggesting that the Lightning are doing that, but it was a mentality shift of, you don't need to try and score every time down the ice. You know, if you have a 1-goal lead in the third period, it is okay to win that game by 1 goal. You don't need 4 extra goals. You don't need to win with style points, right? And I think that in addition to some decisions that the Lightning made organizationally, with Julien Brisebois changing the makeup of the team a little bit, getting a little grittier, and we saw that in some of the moves that were made from 2019 on, both off-season moves and deadline moves, and a little bit of a structural change in how the Lightning wanted to defend. I think the biggest adjustment was mental. Like, don't go for it every time you have a chance to go for it. Let's take some of the risk out of our game because we're good enough. We're skilled enough. We have enough elite players that can make plays that we're fine in that category. We're not some team that has to rely on playing great defense because we just don't have playmakers, right? So if you're an opponent seeing the Lightning, first of all, they have elite players at all the most important positions, if you will, right? Like, they have them up the middle, and Kucherov is a winger, but he's one of the top players in the game. They have elite players on defense, and they have the guy in net. And then you're factoring in this component that they can play a variety of different ways. So they can lock it down. They can open it up if they need to. If they're down, they have the capability of battling back. And that makes them a handful. And no matter what sort of opponent they get, they seem capable of doing what they need to do to beat different types of opponents. And in these 10 series wins that they've had going back to the 2020 bubble, they have faced different sorts of teams.
Yeah.
Like, the Florida Panthers are a way different team than the New York Islanders in terms of what they do really, really well. And the Lightning have beaten both of those teams twice over the last couple of years in the playoffs. So I think that's really what it goes to, JP.
That's great.
That, you know, like, you're right. You know, winning a Stanley Cup takes sacrifice and blocking shots and digging in defensively. And that is something that John Cooper has stressed a lot, because he feels that may be even more important than scoring. In fact, he does believe that. How many times have we heard him say, we need to worry about our net, not the other net?
Yeah.
But I think given the team that he has, they can afford to maybe not worry about the other team's net. Because they have enough guys that can make plays to score enough to win.
Dave Mishkin joining us here. You know, another one of my obsessions in covering sports all these years has been, you know, trying to define what makes a championship team different from really, really, really good teams. Like, what puts them over the top? And one of the elements that I've kind of zeroed in on is what I call special talent. You have to have a guy or a unit that has super, super special talent, something that is just above and beyond everybody else. And to me, that's Kucherov. And I think to some degree you could put Vasilevsky in there as well. But it's these magical moments that not only put points on the board, but they change games. You know, I go back to the move that Kucherov put on Ekblad. It was just a goal, right? But it just seemed to completely befuddle what, you know, everything that the Panthers were. It changed the series. You know, the pass to Colton, the pass to Palat. You know, there's these magical moments that he creates that are, again, just are not scoring plays. They're just so much more than that. and it seems to come at the most opportune times. I've seen it, with many different championship teams. Can you talk about that element of the play and how it kind of can change a series?
Well, I think in game one of the Florida series, the Kucherov play did change game one, because not only did it get the Lightning going, it seemed to get Kucherov going too.
Yeah.
And he had a goal later in game one as well. And the Lightning basically, I mean, I'm oversimplifying it here, they kind of skied downhill after that goal for the rest of game one. Game two was a different story. Like, it was a fresh start, and game two felt different than game one. But Kucherov makes the play at the end of game two to basically prevent overtime, which is very similar to what happened against the Rangers the other night at Amalie Arena, where you're in the final minute of a tie game and you think, all right, maybe overtime, and then Kucherov makes another play, right?
Yeah.
So I'm inclined to agree with your statement that having elite talent or a difference-making sort of player can tip the balance for a team by making a big play at a key time, and usually championship teams need that.
Yeah.
But I guess I would say not always.
Yeah.
Like, it is possible. We could probably go back and look at all the championship teams and say, like, this team maybe did it a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you'd like to have a player like Kucherov. What team wouldn't want to have a player like that? But I guess there's more than one way to bake a cake.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have, like, maybe not as much in terms of the elite difference-making talent, but you have complete buy-in from everybody and are just like a brick wall to play against.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of think of the Devils in the 90s, maybe a little bit like that, which is maybe, I don't mean to be critical of them, and Brewer's one of the greatest goalies ever to put on a uniform. But like, those teams did it because they were just so in sync, which you need also.
Yep.
And everybody pulling on the rope together and willing to make sacrifice and contributions up and down the lineup. That is another way to go. And I think the Lightning have some of that in them too, which is kind of what I was saying. They can find different ways to beat you, because maybe a team is able to take away Kucherov.
Right.
And he has a series where he can't make a play. Well, what are you going to do then? And we've seen, certainly over the last couple of years, as good as Kucherov has been, as good as Braden Point has been when he's been healthy, there have been games when they have not had an impact on the scorer sheet, and the Lightning have had to find a different way to do it. So I guess what I would say is, more about more different sports than I do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to defer to your statement. Yeah. But at least in hockey, I think that you would love to have these difference-making players. But if you have, I'm not saying none, but if you have fewer, it doesn't mean that you have no shot.
Right.
I think that there is a way to do it. It's just you have to maybe do it a little bit differently.
But it's fun to have one of them, and or more, as it is with the Lightning. I'm not sure your travel schedule. You guys up in New York? Were you there for the on site? Okay, because there's a lot has been made of this home ice advantage. I've not been to Madison Square Garden for a hockey game. I heard Cooper and the boys talk about what a great atmosphere it is, but simply put, the Rangers have been almost unbeatable up there. I believe 8-1 in these playoffs, or 7-1. And the Lightning certainly looked like a very different group those first two games, and maybe even regular season as well. Is there something different about that place? Is it, I don't know how you go from 27 giveaways, 26 giveaways to 6 and then 9 on home ice. Maybe we have better ice. We know how to make ice in the warm weather. Maybe they don't. I'm not used to it, right? It's been a while since they played hockey in June in Madison Square Garden. So I don't know. What would you attribute it to, and how did the Lightning overcome it tonight?
Well, I don't think it's the ice.
Yeah.
I think that some of what happened in the first two games, at least on the Lightning side, can be tied to the layoff.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that now that they've shaken off that rust or being off kilter, which I think they were coming out of the break, that it automatically means that they're going to be like buttoned up tonight. No, You have to go out and do it. You have to go out and show it. So the first two games in the series, or at least the first game and a half in the series, I thought the Lightning started to find their legs and find their rhythm in the third period, going back to maybe the final 5 minutes of the second period in game two. And you can see that reflected in how they pressed the attack, but they were down in the game at that point. and they never got back to a tie game situation. So I would hope that the Lightning are going to play much better than they did in either of the first two games tonight. We'll wait and see. As it relates to the Rangers, I think the Penguins played a lot better at MSG than Carolina did.
Yeah.
And, the Penguins were the one team to beat the Rangers. It was the first game in that series in triple overtime. But the Penguins had leads in two of the other three games the Rangers had at home. Penguins had a lead in game 5, and they had a lead in game 7. So it's not as though the Rangers just like steamrolled them, right?
Right.
They kind of, they were like they for themselves in this term, they say we're cockroaches. Like we just don't go away. And the Penguins felt that way because the Penguins couldn't hold on to those leads. They had a lead in game 6 at home too, and lost that game. The Carolina series, the Rangers kind of stepped on the gas and Carolina fell behind. I don't even believe the Hurricanes ever had a lead in any of the 3 games they played at MSG. So, like, what do we make of this? Well, I think that the 3 series are a little bit different, just as I detailed. Like, I don't think the Rangers saw anything close to the Lightning's best in the first 2 games. That's not their fault, but that was what happened, at least in the first 2 games. I think they did outplay Carolina by a wide margin, and the Pittsburgh game's much closer at MSG. So, like, well, what do we make of this? There is something, at least in the earlier series, to the Rangers having the last change. So, without getting too much into the weeds on this, like, we remember the Yanni Gourde line, right? The last 2 years, and they did so much. But one of the biggest things that the Gourde line did for the Lightning was John Cooper, when he could, use them as a matchup line.
Right.
So they would usually go over the boards when the other team's top line came out on the ice, and they were in all the key defensive situations. Those 3 guys penalty killed. They were usually out there when the Lightning are protecting a lead, and it's a 6-on-5. The other team has pulled the goalie. Well, the matchups that the Rangers have looked to do, they actually like to use their most dangerous line as a quote-unquote matchup line. A little bit different.
Yeah.
So Zibanejad, Kreider, and Vetrano, which has been their top line, Gallant mixed them up a little bit in game 4, partially due to ineffective play, also partially due to some injuries that he was dealing with among his forwards. But for most of the playoffs, Kreider, Zibanejad, and Vetrano, that has been the top line for the Rangers. And when the Rangers have been at home, he has matched them against the other team's top line. In the Pittsburgh series, it was the Crosby line. In the Carolina series, it was the Aho line. And in games 1 and 2, they went out against Kucherov, whoever Kucherov is playing with. They have been very good at home. They were better in the Carolina series than in the Pittsburgh series. But they were very, very good against Carolina, and they were very, very good in the first 2 games in this series. When the Rangers have been on the road, though, it's been harder for Gallant to get that matchup, and the other team has thrown a line against the Zibanejad's line that has fairly effectively shut them down. It was Jordan Stahl's line in the Carolina series, and we saw Cirelli, Killorn, and Hagel do it in the 2 games in Tampa. So, look, past is not prologue. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. It may be that Zibanejad's line, however it's constructed, has a really big night. Maybe they have a more quiet night. But I think some of this kind of line matching, there is something to the fact that Zibanejad's line, which kind of is the straw that stirs the drink for the Rangers, as good as this kid line has been for New York, the Zibanejad line has been way more effective at home than they have been on the road, especially 5-on-5.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens tonight. See those matchups, and we'll. I think I've convinced most people to turn off the network feed and sync up the Lightning radio feed, which they can find on their phones through Lightning Power Play. You can get that and sync it up, and they can enjoy some great home cooking from you and Phil, who I know I've heard reports.
We don't have to call it down the middle. We don't have to call it down the middle.
Nor do we want it. And I'm not sure they are on ESPN either. So if they so desire, you can figure that out, and I highly recommend everybody do it. Dave, thank you for taking so much time with us this morning. Great conversation always. Really appreciate your work and your time. Thanks, buddy.
Anytime, JP. Thanks.
Great, Dave Mishkin right there. And yeah, I love going back and they put it on their Twitter, Lightning put it on their Twitter, and see all the Mish Mike stuff, and it's on TampaBayLightning.com. We play it on the big board too, in the games after, because it's just he's the best in the business. He did, in my opinion, in the hockey business.
Yeah, in this market, he is gold.
Yeah,
he is gold. I couldn't imagine anybody else doing that job than he does. And I hope he's here for continuing to be a long,
and the
long
fact
time.
that he grates on other teams so much, like the other fans hate it.
Oh, they
it
can't
just
stand
tells
it.
you how good it is.
Can't stand it.
It's so good. It's just the best. And it takes it takes a certain level of commitment and courage to be that enthusiastic, and that's what we want in our broadcasters. They don't have to play it like he said. They're not supposed to play it down the line.
And knowing that Phil's just going to say whatever he wants to say.
Exactly. And has the gravitas to be able to say anything. And that's the thing, like, he'll tell you about Stamkos made a terrible pass and Kucherov made a terrible turnover. I mean, and he's got the gravitas to do it. And it's absolute broadcasting gold.
I think there was one point in the Rangers, it might have been game 1 or game 2 when it was kind of going sideways for the Lightning. And Kucherov had a chance to, I think, shoot, and he passed out of it. And I was listening back to it. And before he even had passed it, Phil was like, he's going to pass it. I know it. And then he passed it. He's like, why did you shoot? Damn it.
It's the best.
It's the best.
It's so good. And it's so unique. You can't find it anywhere else. So again, if you have a DVR, a Spectrum DVR like I have, and then you can take your phone and go to I think it's Lightning Power Play on the iHeart app, or just you can find it on the Lightning website as well if you want to use your laptop. And you can sync it up.
Yeah.
It works really well. Because everybody, I get all these tweets every game. These broadcasters are so Ranger, blah 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 blah. I'm like, well, do something about it. You have the technology. Do it.
Wait a second, real quick.
Yeah,
hold up.
But you can do it.
Let me figure something out here on the air.
It's very, very easy to do.
I was trying to see where Sean McDonough was from. I wanted to know.
I thought he might have been from New York.
He's from Boston.
I don't have a huge problem with Sean McDonough as much as the analysts and everybody else. And it doesn't really bother me like it bothers everybody else.
I've never been bothered by it.
I kind of enjoy it. I kind of laugh at it.
I picked up on it more so these playoffs for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Eddie Olczyk is another one. I feel like whenever I hear him call a game, I know that I'm going to be like pulling my hair out in regards when he's calling a Lightning game.
Yeah.
He's another one like that. But
I think it's just it goes back. So many of these guys have been involved in hockey for so long. I mean, they grew up in the game, obviously. Talk about 50, 60 years. And, for the first 40 years of their life, the Lightning weren't even, they weren't even a franchise number one. And even when their early years, they were a non part of the conversation. So it's old habits die hard, and they see things through a Rangers perspective. And, I don't necessarily think that's good broadcasting, but I get it. But the best part about it is it makes them look like idiots. They constantly picking the other team, constantly picking against the Lightning, still not believing. I mean, Melrose is the only one on ESPN, really, because Tortorella picked the Panthers in that series.
I think Callahan was the only one that picked the Lightning in this series.
Right? Callahan was the only one. And Melrose, has been pretty solid. Like, even when they were down 2-0 to the Rangers, they're like, well, this series is far from over. And he was, and now he looks like the sage while the other ones look like bozos.
Well, it's kind of crazy, just not even in the announcing realm, but just in the fan realm, I guess. The Lightning are like the villain of like the National Hockey League now.
Yeah.
They've turned into the villain.
Sure.
And what's crazy about that? I know a lot of like Patriots fans, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And they could be some of the most obnoxious people ever, by the way.
Indeed.
But anyway, all that time they were winning, everybody hated Tom Brady, including myself. Everybody hated the Patriots for the most part.
Good.
And every time I talk to them about it, they're like, people just hate winners, Nick.
Yeah,
just hate
true.
winners.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess because we didn't experience much winning, I never really grasped that concept.
Mm-hmm.
But now you see it everywhere. A lot of people going after the Lightning. They are one of the villains of the NHL now.
They hate us because they hate us.
Yeah.
They're
jealous of our palm trees and our,
oh my God, yes.
our nice river out there.
Yeah.
Our river walk.
I mean, just think about it when you're living in some of these crappy hellholes up north. And and the music comes on, da, 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 and a drone shot of Amalie Arena and the boats to the harbor. in mid-December, they're freezing their ass off there. It's at 12 feet of snow, and it's like, it's a beautiful day in Tampa Bay, a two-time Stanley Cup champion. They'd just be like, shut the hell up. It's like,
well, I told you when we were in the Stanley Cup final against Montreal, I would be like going through my Twitter feed and all the Sportsnet and TSN reporters that were here.
Right.
I guess they really hadn't been to a game in Amalie in a long time. And they were like, can we just get on with the game, please? Enough of this pregame presentation. This isn't hockey. This isn't right. And like every single game, they'd be like a sarcastic tweet. All right, it's the game would start 8:30 or 8 o'clock. They're like, all right, it's 7:30. I guess see you at 8:20 for the puck drop after this presentation. And like they would just make sarcastic tweets like that all the time. So
talking about my pregame show,
you were included in the pregame show, yeah.
Really?
You were included. It starts with you, and then it goes to all your video packages and
the
whole 9 yards.
I'm sorry if we're here to entertain our fans. We really apologize for that.
They just want to drop the puck and play hockey.
Grumpy old men. Nobody wants to see the well put together hype videos that get the fans all jacked up. My part is the informational part of it. We set it up so and people and there's a reason we do that is because sorry, not every fan that comes to Amalie Arena spends 6 hours before the game on their favorite TSN website, finding out what cup size Zibanejad wears. Sorry, not this doesn't happen. We have other things to do here in Tampa Bay. So when they get to the arena, you give them a nice little X's and O's primer on what milestones to look for in this game, what the matchups are, who the starting goalies are. Here's what's at stake in the game. Blah 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 blah. It's a little 3-minute presentation, and boom, we're done. And then we give you some hype videos, and it's not like we're having a jousting competition on the ice like they do in Vegas. I mean, come on, we're not, So I think what we do is appropriate, and by the way, we take great care in trying to figure out what is the balance between putting the hockey game first, obviously, and the accoutrement second. And I think we do. I think we strike a very, very good balance in that way. But more than anything else, these are mostly grumpy old men that are trying to find something to bitch about because they hate us because they hate us.
I'm just saying, I won't name any names, but I had a lot of people up there in the press box who said, I asked them, I was like, hey, how's MSG? I've never been, and they were like,
it's a dump.
So I'm just gonna put that out there. But anyway, we do have a game tonight. You got to talk about the game, I guess.
Yes.
I guess. I was going through my notes here, and I'm this stat here is astonishing to me. You talk about what's the key to
Nicky
winning?
Numbers alert.
What's the key to winning in the playoffs? It's winning on the road. You can't win on the road.
Right.
You can't win in the playoffs. Just ask the Carolina Hurricanes about that.
Mm-hmm.
The Lightning, did you know this? Have the best road playoff win percentage in the NHL in history. In the playoffs, the best win percentage on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah.
In NHL history.
In NHL history.
NHL history.
Mm-hmm.
They're 58-39 on the road in the playoffs. It's a road playoff win percentage of .598.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
That I saw that number here, and I was astonished by that. You look at the history of the NHL.
I wonder how far above the second place team are they?
I'll have to dig for that one, but pretty good stuff right there. Talk about winning on the road and
.590. It's almost 60% of their games they're winning on the road.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things we talked about. As far as who did we want to play in the Carolina, New York? When that series was going on, I was like Carolina all day long because Shesterkin is way better than Ranta, and their backup goalie because Anderson was hurt. It's like that's where it's at. And then, nobody wins in Carolina. We do.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem winning on the road. That's not a thing for us. So let me go up against the crappier goalie any day of the week.
And I guess I glossed over this too. Not only are they the best playoff win percentage on the road, just straight up road and home best playoff win percentage in NHL history. The Tampa Bay Lightning.
In NHL history
of all the franchises,
everyone, original six, everybody.
It's Tampa, Florida.
Tampa
so
Bay,
when I said
Florida.
that the Lightning are the villain of the league, I think that's where it stems from. Is we're playing a
How
game.
About that?
We're playing a game that's very northeast centric and north centric in general. And the team from Tampa Bay that's been around for 30 years,
yeah,
has become the class of the league.
It's embarrassing how good we are.
I know I don't want to flaunt
embarrassing.
here, but I mean these are the numbers. These
You
are the
know.
numbers. These numbers. You
And
know what? The best thing about numbers, they're objective,
Exactly.
free of bias, and
Yeah.
I'm giving them to you right there.
Yeah, although you can make numbers say anything you want.
Yeah,
But
you can.
these are pretty convincing. These aren't like on a Tuesday when it rains outside. These are like best road winning percentage, best winning percentage in the playoffs. That's it's more
It's
than
special
impressive.
stuff, man.
It really is. And this is, and again, going back to, what we talked about in the Tampa Sports Club and honoring, this Tampa Bay. If you've lived here a long time, I was talking about George and Leonard Levy, who started the Tampa Bay Sports Club 61 years ago when there were no professional teams here. This was merely a blip on the sporting map. I mean, the University of Tampa was the biggest thing, coming out of here in terms of sports. And now look what we've grown to, the best sports city in terms of winning right now in the United States, maybe in the world.
Yeah.
Dare I say.
So with those numbers being said, how do they relate to tonight? It means I'm telling you, I think the Lightning are going to get one tonight.
I do too.
I feel like they have flipped this series on its head. I think with Strome and Hedl. Now, I don't know what their injuries are. Nobody does.
Their game time decisions.
Their game time decisions. Strome took the warm-up in game 4. He was skating. He didn't skate much. He kind of was mostly just kind of passing pucks from the red line. But if he took warm-up, I'd have to think now 2 days later, probably going to get back in there, especially with Hedl's injury. He might feel more inclined. I got to get in there because it's like I said, it's tough to win when you got 2 of your top 3 centers down with an injury.
Yeah, and if you noticed, face-offs first. I think for the first time in the series, the Lightning won the face-off battle, 51-49. I think it was in Game 4, and that's not much. But when you consider it's been 65-35 for a lot of the series.
Yeah.
It's a huge improvement, and it's a big deal. Getting that's puck management. That's getting the puck and being able to keep it in the zone. I think was it second period or third period? The Lightning owned the zone time like 4:33 to 2:33.
Yeah.
That's huge because it keeps the pressure on Shesterkin. And I think that's how you beat them. It's that 45 seconds to a minute 15 in the zone when the defenders are getting tired and he's having to, clear the crease and make multiple saves. That's when it really gets dangerous.
And you have to wonder with Shesterkin, who's really stood on his head these entire playoffs for the Rangers, and especially probably the last 2 weeks more than ever, is he tiring out a little bit?
And that's mentally a lot. When you're facing 51 shots. It's a lot.
Yeah, you have to wonder because the Lightning controlling the zone like they have in the last 2 games, Shesterkin's moving a lot now, and that's the key. You got to get him moving, and you got to have really good precision shots. That happened in Game 3, and they just had enough to beat him. Game 4, I thought he was a little bit more leaky than usual. So you have to think the 9-day rest didn't help the Lightning initially, but as you get deeper into this series, I think it's very plausible to say the Lightning have the advantage. They have the legs right now, but you got to go up to Madison Square Garden and do it.
And the biggest thing about Shesterkin and his energy, imagine the energy it takes to make those gyrations and embellishments of flopping on the ice all the time and then having to get up after you've flopped 5 or 6 times. That's got to be exhausting.
I don't know how you play how you die and then like come back to life.
It's like a Marvel movie, for God's sakes.
I don't know.
It's like he's dead. No, he's not dead. Wait, I think he's dead again. No, he's not dead. He's back. Oh, that's got to take a lot. And then imagine the dramatic coaching that goes on between games that he has to go, down to Broadway and get the coaching as well. That's got to take time off your schedule.
It's such a shame too when Corey Perry's parked in front of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine how tough it is when you just can't see around.
And he's thinking in his head, when do I dive and when do I not dive? It's got to be hard. It's got to be exhausting.
Pay him more.
You should. He's not only a great goalie, but he's a tremendous actor in so many ways. I mean, as I said in my pregame the other day, the 2022 Vezina finalist, Vezina and Academy Award finalist. I mean, it's not easy to be such a two-headed star in that way. It takes a lot of energy. So hats off to the man. He's a dual threat. In New York, that's great. You be an entertainer in so many ways. Like Broadway's not far, and you got to take advantage of it. So in the off season, they'll probably be doing, I don't know, a little Fiddler on the Roof, maybe.
You ran pretty good with that one.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? We might have to put that one up on a reel. Send it to the Rangers fans. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Bucks. We got some great Bucks sound for you. Todd Bowles. Mike Evans is in mid-season form. He's ready to take on the Saints right now. And I'm shocked that he has no idea what the schedule is. We have to tell him what the schedule is coming up this year. We'll hear some Bucks sound. We'll get into it. Minicamp talk when we come back. Cryptocurrency is all the rage today. The market cap for the industry is now over $1 trillion. And you read about people making millions of dollars, right? You want to get in, but have no idea what to do? Or maybe you dabbled a bit and you want to unlock the real money-making opportunities and don't know how to do it. There are over 10,000 tokens and thousands of decentralized finance exchanges to navigate. So what do? You go to DeFiLava.com. The folks at DeFiLava.com are in Tampa Bay, and they work with you directly to set up custom accounts, answer all your questions, and provide market analysis. Decentralized finance and cryptocurrencies are here to stay and will change the financial markets as we know them. Get in the game. Get with the experts at DeFiLava.com and tell them JP sent you and get their free 2022 crypto market forecast today at DeFiLava.com. Don't get left behind, folks. Make some money at DeFiLava.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle, building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care, and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Italiano Insurance has been serving and working in our community for over 60 years, and it's not just about insuring all the pieces of your life. Italiano is as much a part of Tampa Bay as the Cuban sandwich, Gasparilla, and our Bucks, Lightning, and Rays. They're also active supporters of great charities like the Humane Society, Metropolitan Ministries, and local pediatric cancer centers. Hey, we all need insurance, so do business with a local company with a commitment to our community. Don't call some 1-800 number. Call Italiano and be greeted by one of your neighbors. That's 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Named the Small Business of the Year by the Tampa Chamber. 813-877-7799. The world economy is in chaos and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We went like 40 minutes on that one stretch there, so we had to double up our sponsors break. We want to thank our sponsors for supporting this great show. Well, we think it's a great show. Each and every day, 2 hours, Tampa Bay centric sports that we bring you. We bring you all the interviews, all the things going on with our teams and in our city, and we're very proud to do it. We can't do it without our sponsors. And that includes the Golden Diamond Source. The Golden Diamond Source, it's a time to go shopping for your hubby. And yeah, we like jewelry. We like rings. We like bracelets and those beautiful baller watches. Get your guy a Rolex. Get him a tag. Get him a nice, beautiful watch. And they've got such an incredible selection over there. If you're into collecting Rolexes, which a lot of guys are these days, they've got a tremendous selection over there, not even on the showroom floor, but also on their website. And just go in there and talk to Julie and Steve or any of the staff and say, I'm into collecting. Can you help me find this one or find that one? And they can do it. They've got all the connections. They can get you some great prices. So, don't do all that research yourself when they've got all the folks that are in this industry, and they can also, bring those watches in or ask them, to authenticate things. They'll do that for you. That's one of the great things they do with the Golden Diamond Source. They're not just a place to go buy jewelry. They'll fix your jewelry. You can bring your old jewelry in. If it's broken, they'll fix it, or you can turn it in. They'll give you a great price for it. You can shop for some new stuff. That's a great way, because so many, if you go into your wife's jewelry box and there's so many things she probably hasn't worn for years and years and years, bring it in. They'll give you cold hard cash for it, and you can take it to the golf course or the casino, or you can buy her something else that she will like. A lot of options there. That's what I'm saying. A great place to shop. Great folks. So go on by and tell them JP sent you. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Old Princeton Road. Always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, the Bucs are back at it. OTAs, mandatory OTAs, and kind of the I would say the surprise maybe of this OTAs or the speedy wide receivers have really kind of stepped up. According to the Pewter Report, I was not out there obviously because we're doing the show. Jalen Darden continues to stand out. Free agent Devin Tompkins with some great ability on it. Took a deep ball from Tom Brady. I hadn't even heard that name. So yeah, there's some young guys, and I was talking to Scott Reynolds last week, and we're going to get him on next week. He's a little busy this week, about Jalen Darden and just how this, his last year, he said, kind of North Texas, it was, he saw three coverages, it was cover 3, cover 2, and man to man. That was it. You get in the NFL, you got combo coverages, you've got option routes, you get so many things that you have to worry about. He said he couldn't play fast because I was thinking all the time. And now he's really gotten into his playbook. He's playing much faster. So, yeah, Jalen Darden was a bit of a bust last year. But, how many times do we have to say it? Between year 1 and year 2, guys getting comfortable in the NFL, it's a big difference. And I tell you what, if we can find a guy that could take the top off the defense like that, boy, would that be a great compliment to the receivers that we already have.
Well, I think the writing Jalen Darden just even a year in and being a 4th-round pick, that doesn't matter. If there's one thing he's learned from being GM, if he misses on a pick, he's not going to waste time and just carry you on the roster. You've seen examples of that. Same thing goes for free agent acquisitions that have not panned out. Looking at you, Chris Baker.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Darden, he's up against it. You look at the wide receiver room, there's an opportunity there with Chris Godwin being uncertain. And right now with Russell Gage, I don't believe he's practicing.
Nope.
I think he's still rehabbing an injury.
Yeah.
So there is an opening there, and the Bucs wide receiver set after those 3, I think it's wide open. Anybody right now, there's about 4 or 5 guys that are in competition. I'm sure the Bucs will probably carry 5, 6 receivers max.
Yeah.
I'm sure Darden will probably maybe be in the return game conversation.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't as comfortable there last year.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Terrible.
Terrible.
And of course, there's always the rumors going out that the Bucs could bring in another receiver.
Yeah.
There's always those rumors. And the Buccaneers actually have a little bit of cap space to work with, to be honest. And probably, we already know Gronk is going to get some of that.
Yeah.
You got to sign all your rookies, but there's still some room there if they wanted to add some. So whatever these young guys do in minicamp could probably decide what they do.
Yeah, there's still some big names out there receiver wide.
A lot of big names.
Yeah, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones. Obviously, Odell is going to be late in the season until he comes back from that ACL that he sustained in the Super Bowl. So there's going to be some guys out there, and they all want to play with Tom Brady. I know that much.
I started thinking about this, thinking a low cost addition at this point. low risk, maybe not a receiver, but an edge rusher to maybe kind of come in and replace JPP.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see D Ford was let go from the 49ers?
I did not.
He was let go Tuesday by the 49ers.
Interesting.
So he's out there, 30 years old now. So kind of around the same age JPP was when he came in.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been as productive in San Francisco, but maybe the Bucs could get him on a cheap. I'm just spitballing here because at this point, a guy like that is going to go somewhere where he could probably win something.
Mm-hmm.
Low cost addition, 1-year deal. The Bucs have a need there, I think, with JPP no longer there.
You know, I think they feel comfortable with Anthony Nelson stepping up into that backup, kind of backup / starter rotation role. I mean, you look at how many defensive line they're going to keep. It's kind of weird because there you get in the 3-4, you got the outside guys, the inside guys. It's a lot of different rotation, but yeah, I don't. You can't have enough. You can't have enough in the rotation because you're going to be dealing with injuries. But they've got most of those guys back, and by the way, Akeem Hicks is giant. He's just, I mean, we knew this anyway. And I loved watching him play for the Bears because you go back and look at a tape when he's healthy, especially 2018, that dude was unblockable. And even more recently, he's so big. He's very athletic, way more athletic than you think.
Yeah.
And he's been injured, which, is obviously a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because will it happen again? A blessing is he doesn't have as many miles on his tires as he would have in the past three years.
Yeah. And the thing, I saw the picture of him and Vita Vea walking next to each other.
Jesus.
My God.
I mean, like you can't even find Devin White behind those guys.
It reminded me of the 2000 Ravens. Who was it? Tony Saragusa and I got the other name I can't think of right now.
Oh, they had Saragusa and
another really big dude.
Was it Nadi?
No, that was later. Haloti Nada, that was later. I can't think of who
it was another Samoan, though.
It was another really big dude. That's Tony Saragusa. And I saw it, and that's kind of what it reminded me of. So, the Bucs, I mean, they do it every year. They're going to try to stop the run. But as we've talked so much with Scott Reynolds, the Bucs got a very leaky in the run game late because teams started going to the perimeter.
Yeah.
And that's why Ndamukong Suh's not here.
I mean, you go 330, 350 with those two boys, 6'4" and 6'5". In the in middle, outside, wherever you go, and then you throw Will Golston in there, who's another 6'6", 290. I mean, you can throw some beef up there when you need to.
Some long, lanky dudes as well. The Bucs look like a basketball team up front.
Yeah, they're very, very athletic. Love it. All right, so we got fresh Todd Bowles. Huh?
Fresh Todd Bowles from
Todd Bowles just off the field from today. So let's listen in. We'll be listening for the first time as well.
This morning, we wanted to get some work that way, and blitz period was next. Then once the Thunder came and went inside, didn't want anybody getting hurt on the turf going into vacation, so we called it early.
What message do you want your players to take home with them?
Just understand what kind of shape they need to be in to come back, and when we come back, we're ready to go. We're not going to start over at the beginning of minicamp or anything like that. We're going to start where we left off at, and we're going to get better. That's it. That's all you got.
I'm trying not to ask you any questions.
Coach, be you, Jenna.
Somebody else step up. Let's go.
Coach, a lot of teams are still going into next week with minicamp or OTAs after minicamp. Was there a philosophy behind ending the Bucs earlier?
No, we always ended it a little bit earlier. There's a lot of teams that have minicamp this week. There's some that have it next week. I think it's about even.
Who caught your eye here over the last 3 days? Who jumped out to you? Who impressed you?
I would love to see what Tompkins does in training camp. He's quick, he's fast, he's explosive off the ball, and he's made some good catches. So we want to see how he continues to learn and how he does in training camp and preseason. I'll be looking at him.
And are there any injuries? Because I know you held some guys back the last 3 days. Are there any injuries that could still be an issue when you guys head to training camp?
Well, it's too early to tell. None to speak of right now.
What was the message to the players heading into this break, getting in preparation for training camp?
Again, we know what the heat's going to be like, coming back in shape and understanding what they retained here in these OTAs and mini camps going forward. So coming back in training camp, we're going to hit the ground rolling. We don't have time to backpedal and go backwards. So when we come back, we're starting this thing full go. They better be ready to go.
weren't too many starting jobs open with this team a year ago, Todd, and now you've got some competitive situations. Is that a good thing in your mind?
I think it's always a good thing, so nobody can take a break and practice, and it brings out the best in those type of people. So having some competition this year and pushing some guys is always good.
Did you look at any position and see like, okay, we might need to bring somebody in from the outside to supplement this group at all?
Not at this time, but it's always an option. If somebody gets hurt or somebody becomes available that we're interested in, we're always looking at those type of things.
Insert obligatory Gronk question. Any communication with them?
Status quo.
You're going to be saying that on August 5th?
Until he signs or retires, we're status quo.
Yeah, status quo on Gronk apparently.
He's
there.
coming back.
He's coming back.
He's smiling. He knows what's going
You can
on
look
with
at that
Gronk.
right there. That's the
If there
shot.
we know how important he is to the team. If there was any question whatsoever, would that dude be smiling ear to ear saying status quo? No. He's coming back. I ain't worried about that. So I guess I won't be able to ask my questions for Brady because they ended early and Brady's already talked.
Well, we can't see what the weather's like, but I think for whatever reason,
we heard some thunder
feed came in
earlier.
mid-question. The feed came in like mid-answer for Todd, and I guess he said that there was some thunder. They moved inside, decided just to end it early.
Yeah.
So
they got their work done this week.
So
good to go.
And this was this the last day of minicamp, right?
Yeah,
So we have, was it 6 weeks until training camp?
Yep, 6 weeks till training camp, mid to early July, and then the greatest, most anticipated season. I shouldn't say the greatest because we don't know what's going to happen, but the most anticipated season in the history of the Buccaneers commences.
We do have the Tom Brady audio now.
Well, then, hey,
And
let's do it.
I undersold it a lot. He spoke for 12 minutes here, apparently.
12 minutes of Tom Brady?
That's the number on this. So I don't know if you want to play this now or
Let's take a break.
Take a quick break and see what we have, and
let's
then
take
come
a
back
break. Set it up.
Very curious to hear what he had to say.
Yeah. We don't do 8-minute breaks here, folks. Like the other folks on the radio, we only do 2-3 minute breaks here most of the time, unless we have to double up because we went 45 minutes of pure content. So that's what we do. So quick break. I want to thank our sponsors. And then we're coming back with Tom Brady. I've already seen some of the Twitter stuff here, so we'll hear it in its entirety when we come back. The world economy is in chaos, and mortgage rates are going to go higher in the next few months. Meanwhile, home values are up 24% in some neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. Do not miss this opportunity to refinance your home, get some much-needed cash to handle skyrocketing inflation, and fill up your car. Contact Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Even if you've recently refinanced, Scott can make the deal work because he charges no lender fees like the big boys do. He will also shop your loan around to dozens of lenders and get the best rates and terms. Let them compete for your business. The big banks charge huge lending fees. Customer service is simply a phone number with endless wait times. Scott is local and will personally take your call. Here's his cell phone number. Tell him JP said you could call. 813-294-7595. Scott's done over 3,000 loans, including many coaches and athletes. He will answer your calls and concerns and give you workable strategies to be smart with your money. Reduce your payments. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Have you purchased a home in the last 10 years and the stucco is starting to come loose from the upstairs portion? Well, that can cause some serious damage that you can't see until it's too late. Is it becoming an eyesore? Have you contacted the builder and just can't get any relief? That's very common here in Florida. So call the law offices of Christopher Palermo. They can help you. Call 813-221-5636. That's 813-221-5636. He's recovered millions for his clients. The law offices of Christopher Palermo at PalermoPA.com. The health professionals at Bay Area Modern Medical Center want you to know it's time to commit to a new, healthy lifestyle. It's literally a matter of life and death. 42% of Americans are considered obese, and being obese made you 3 times more likely to be hospitalized by COVID. So getting in shape is not just about looking better, it's about living much longer. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they take a very different approach to primary care. It's personalized, preventative medicine. Christopher Lugo and his experienced staff are proactive in looking at your issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. building up your immune system, not destroying it with poor nutrition and bad habits. So call for an appointment, maybe change your primary care and get on a journey back to full health and a happy life. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Saw Chris Lugo at the Lightning game the other night. He is your medical professional at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Big Lightning fan, and also works with our military. Chatted with him a little bit about what he's been doing in the National Guard, keeping our pilots in tip-top shape down there at MacDill Air Force Base. So if you're looking to lose weight, get your immune system back to a very robust level, which is a very, very important thing these days. If you're looking to lose weight, testosterone replacement therapy is something else they do very, very well. This is all cutting-edge technology, the latest techniques. As you guys know, the medical business changes from time to time, and a lot of doctors just don't keep up with the changes. You know, they're just the old-style medical school stuff. That's not what they do at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. They're always looking for the latest techniques and the things that are proven and working, and they can do that for you as well. So don't just try to do things yourself in terms of losing weight. There are some great techniques out there, great supplements that they know about that are proven, and they can help you with it. And everything is personalized at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. They personalize it to your body that metabolizes things differently, right? They're going to get your blood work and do everything specifically to you and spend a lot of time with you. Does that sound like what your doctor normally does? No, of course it doesn't. So if you're looking for a new primary care physician, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Check them out, and please tell them JP Peterson sent you. All right, without further ado, it's the GOAT. Finally, after what has been the most incredible offseason of certainly his career with all that's gone on, let's listen to the questions and the answers from the GOAT.
It took a while. My shower was destroyed, but it was really fun. Really
Talking
cute.
about the red hair.
How you guys doing?
It's no longer there.
Quite off season for sure.
Putting on his TB
but a lot of
12
fun.
hat.
You obviously were retired and then made the decision to come back. Was there a particular moment or something that just hit you and you had to tell your family? What was that time for you that you said, okay, I'm playing?
It's a good question. It feels like a long time ago. Lots happened between now and then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot of different things. So it was a while ago. I feel like it's kind of moved past that point, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I'm back. Happy I'm back with my teammates, and it's going to be a great year. Going to work really hard. We have high expectations for what we're trying to accomplish. So got a lot of good players. Doesn't matter much. We got to go out and do it. We got to go earn it. We got some competitive practices coming up. But, I'm most excited about this team and what we can try to accomplish.
Speaking of team.
All right. Exactly as you and I predicted, the non-answer.
Boy,
yeah, it was a long time ago.
He hasn't changed one bit.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
We asked one question about something completely different. It turns to, we have a lot of good players.
Why do you think I've avoided you guys for 3 months so I don't have to answer these questions?
He even took time to think about it. He's like, good question.
Good question. Good question. I'm not even come close to answering. Whatever. Move on.
Did you notice too, by the way, he came in, he goes, yeah, quiet off season, huh? This is the first thing he said. Anyway, we'll continue.
There we go.
Teammates, we've got a lot of former teammates with Logan and Shaq and Akeem on here. What's that like to have those guys back and being around them and on the same team with them here?
It feels good, and it feels good because you know what those guys are capable of. I think they have a very high expectation for their level of play, and I think when you've been in the trenches with those guys, you know what they're all about. I think the more of those guys you have, kind of that caliber of player that could play at a championship level, the better it is. So it's a very competitive team. Competitive practices out there, even in these last 3 days. But, no one's put pads on yet. We're going to see what we can do when we put pads on and guys go out there and try to execute under pressure.
Tom, you spent some time with Gronk this offseason. How optimistic are you of his return?
I think it sure was because of Bruce. I mean, he and I have been as incredible communication, and I have great respect for him, and he knows how I feel about him. That's the most important thing.
Whoa!
And I know how he feels
there?
about me.
I think
so.
we skipped. Hold on. There's a question about Gronk.
It like
and they start talking
skipped.
about Bruce.
I'm wondering if did the Bucks like cut it out?
They must have
Because it
edited.
just straight up jumped, and I'm like, here comes Bruce talk.
But you can roll it back.
Because I didn't touch
Yeah.
anything. It just went. I'll back it up a little bit. See if we have
Conspiracy
questions.
theories.
Execute under pressure.
Yeah, here we
Tom,
go.
you spent some time with Gronk this offseason. How optimistic are you of his return?
I think it sure was because of Bruce.
Oh,
He and I have been.
Hold the phone.
They edited something.
On Gronk?
We skipped the whole Gronk answer.
And then we didn't
and then
even
we
hear the
came
question.
straight into him talking about Bruce Arians. No questions.
Ooh, inquiring minds want to know.
I'm interested.
Why did
because,
they
folks,
cut?
I swear I have not. It just
No.
I'm watching it. It just
they can go on the
completely
Bucks
jumped.
website and see it. It's a complete jump cut edit. There's some something. I bet it would have to do something with the question because I'm sure with Gronk. Well, I've got Pewter Report basically says that, and they're paraphrasing some of the answers. Basically said that it's Gronk's decision. Just the usual cliche answer, and he knows he's coming back. But then, then we go into the Bruce Arians stuff. So, all right, that's interesting. All right, so here's the question on his relationship with Bruce Arians. Here we go.
As incredible communication, and I have great respect for him, and he knows how I feel about him. That's the most important thing, and I know how he feels about me. So,
Did those reports bother you, Tom? Because they didn't portray you in a flattering light, some of those reports.
See, I don't read a lot of them, so I think part of just
liar.
There's a lot of things that aren't right that are said, and I think the thing is you come out and try to respond to everything that's not right. We don't have to be right very often. You just have to be right every so often these days. And I think if people click on it, then, you read more of it, and obviously they're clicking on it. So it's what people want and what's talked about. And it may not be accurate, but that's okay. I mean, I don't make every pass either. So I don't complete every pass. So I understand not everyone can get it right all the time.
You wouldn't be able to do this without the support of your family. What was the conversation like with them when you told them that you were thinking about coming back? And to be able to have
Yeah.
the blessing with this.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, I said, last week or 2 weeks ago, it's very easy when you're 25 to know what you want to do the next year. It's very challenging when you're 43 or 44 because there's a lot of other things that are pressing, and there's a lot of other things that are really important in your life, like your kids and your wife, and different relationships, and things are always taking a backseat to football. I think that's just how it's gone for me. So it's challenging, and I got to work at those things. It's part of what's challenging about things that happen in my life is, just different decisions are made, and I have a great life, and I have zero complaints about it. And I just try to do the best I could do. But, there's other very significant, important things that happen. And I think when the football season starts, everybody knows that it's 100% football. And it's just the way you have to be. And it's a big commitment to make. And then in order to play every game, you got to train really hard. So I got to train really hard at 44 years old, which is a big commitment. And, to try to make those decisions have their challenges. And it's not like it was when I was 25, but I don't think any of us feel like when we were 25. But thankfully, for good reasons, there's parts where I'm happy I'm not 25. And there's other parts where I wish I felt I was like a little more like 25. But, I have a very complex, tricky life in different aspects, and just trying to navigate it the best way I can.
That's interesting. Happen for Russell Gage to be ready to go day one. We know you put a lot of work in advance when you got here in 2020 with receivers.
Yeah.
April and stuff.
A lot of work.
I want to hear more about
a lot of work. He has to have a big year. We signed him to a contract, and he's got to come in and do a great job. And he's from the time I spent with him, I really enjoy it, and I think he's got a great opportunity. That is a very important role for an offense that throws the ball as much as we do. We have very favorable passing conditions. You need a lot of good receivers, and we have depth at receiver. And obviously, Mike's a great player. Chris is coming off a pretty significant injury. So Russell's got to do a great job, and Scotty and BP and Cyril and Jalen, all the guys that Tyler, those guys who have had experience in play, they have to do a great job too. So it's a very competitive room. And I think Russ, when he's out there, there's a lot of work that needs to go into it over the next 6 weeks to be ready so that we're challenged right out of the box this year. So we got really good teams. We got to have a great training camp. We got to, we know when training camp is. It's the 23rd of July. We know we got 6 weeks of training camp, but I feel like it starts, obviously the season's already started. You're competing every day out there, and you're either getting better or you're getting worse, and you're not going out there just to break a sweat. You're going out there to get things done. And I think this should be, in my opinion, our best opportunity to play our best football, because we've been together the longest, and why shouldn't it be? We know each other. We know the scheme. We've been through a lot of challenging circumstances and games, and now we got to go out there and execute it as well as we possibly can.
I think that's the headline from this press conference right there. That's his expectations, and it's something that we kind of glossed over. This is year 3 with Tom Brady. They know the scheme. They perfected in the offense, which was used to be the no risk it, no biscuit. Bruce Arians' offense is now migrated into a left witch Brady type offense that I think is more to his liking, quite frankly. And I think from a personnel standpoint, I'm not going to say we've never been better, because AB was such a big part of that Super Bowl team. But have they replaced him with Russell Gage? I mean, that remains to be seen. Russell Gage is not AB. I get it, but that's a blessing and a curse, right? There were other parts of AB that were not so good, certainly in year 2. So in terms of last year's team to this year's team, I think it's going to be better. Way less distractions, way less bull crap, all about football. 3rd year in the scheme. I think Bowles adds a little bit of juice, new coach, new system. And I think it might be a little bit more, quote, buttoned up, whatever the hell that means, whatever. But I think he's absolutely right. This should be the best iteration of their team, without question.
If they could, in injuries aside, because I think last year we always said, what did we say going in? And he said it too. It's going to be so much seamless this year, year 2. We all know each other. The 8-game winning streak to end 2020. We're all going to be great. Kumbaya. It was anything but kumbaya, as we came to find out. Did the Bucs win 13 games? Yeah, they did. But are we going to sit here and act like it was easy? No, it was not.
No,
it was a struggle to get through that 17-game season, I thought.
But that's what the NFL is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's never, it's never a cakewalk.
Yeah.
You got to navigate injuries. You got to navigate bad calls. You got to navigate assholes taking off their gear in the middle of a game and running off the field. Lot going on.
Well, yeah,
going on.
But I'm just saying it.
And
was
by the way,
that
wasn't the only part of AB that was a distraction. His distraction started mid-season.
Well,
now that we know that.
I'm not even really referring to AB. I just thought that it wasn't as buttoned up as you thought it was going to be.
Right.
The defense, I thought, took a step back last year.
Well, you lose SMB in game 1.
The offense hardly had Evans, Godwin, and AB in the lineup at the same time.
And this is typical. And while we say these are, this happened, that's what happens in the NFL. That's why you got to have depth. That's why you got to have, you got to have good players at a lot of different positions and a lot of depth. And having this guy really helps too. Continue.
A little bit.
A lot of professional athletes feel like they lose their identity when they let go and stop playing.
Yep.
Do you personally, at this stage of your life, feel like you still need football to feel happy and whole, or have you built up enough outside of football to where you could be fulfilled if you decided to call it a career?
Yeah, $375 million.
I mean, it's I fell in love with this sport when I was a young kid, and I think there's still a great love for it. So I think I always will. Unfortunately, beyond it, I'm going to stay in football now. It's pretty clear. So that'll be fun. I look forward to whenever that happens and whenever I decide to make that decision to retire. I think there was a lot of things about me not ended up, kind of having a normal off season. I got to figure out what it would look like, which was really interesting for me. So it was good. I got a lot of good discussions with different people and learned a lot. And it should be a smoother transition than I would have thought.
Tom, you're all about winning, right? Statistics don't matter that much to you. But at the same time, you had a tremendously incredible statistical season last year that led to a lot of wins for this team. When you look back at your film, how can the 2022 Tom Brady be better than the 2021 Tom Brady?
Yeah, in a lot of different ways. I think that's a good question, and it's a good opportunity for us to all kind of evaluate where we were at and what we need to do better. I always feel like there's things that can be improved on in different areas. And I think how I evaluate myself and my teammates is very different than how other people would. So,
Are there any examples you could point to?
none that I would really want to share, because I think those are very personal things that I'm trying to work on, that I'm trying to let the competition figure out. And I'm trying to let the competition figure out about my teammates as well. But I think we have a lot of communication between us about where things were off and where things were. And obviously they have their evaluations, but you realize watching, looking around, they're not often very right either. Other NFL teams, they're wrong a lot. There's a lot of people that are misevaluating things. So it's probably puts you in a best position to succeed if you evaluate things properly. And
you think first thing comes to mind is New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Like, that they are under his skin and he's figuring out how the hell do we beat these guys? And they're breaking down that tape, right, left, center, everything. That game 2 in New Orleans, that's going to be a very, very interesting game to see how the Bucs attack that defense, because the defense hasn't changed much. Although they did lose some players. They lost some key players, but it's still a very, very good defense, and Dennis Allen is still directing the defense there.
Yeah, I was watching. I'm just watching his body language, which I encourage you listening. If you haven't watched it, go watch his body language, because when he started talking about teams misevaluating, you could kind of see he had that. Yeah,
they're wrong
a lot.
Belichick, Patriots.
Yeah, that was kind of that's kind of where I was going with that. The 49ers, you want Jimmy G over me? That's cool.
Stay with that mother. Really? Yeah.
You can still kind of feel it, because like I said, he talked about that in the Man in the Arena about teams misevaluating him his entire career.
Yeah.
And that clearly you could still see it still fires him up.
Mm-hmm.
But we continue.
Yes, that's Saints game. Woo.
That's hopefully what experience and wisdom can do being in this game. That's why wisdom and experience and people being together and continuity is really important. Not to continue to do things poorly, but to continue to try to do things in a better way. So, even though we didn't necessarily win the championship, there were things that we did better last year than we did the previous year, but that still doesn't matter, because ultimately there's one goal for us. You'd like to string everything together. And even if you string all those things together, it's still very difficult to win the championship, because there's 32 very competitive teams playing. So what you can do is put yourself in the best position to succeed, to give yourself the largest margin of error, so that if you don't play your very best, you can still win against a very good opponent, which that's what we have to figure out how to do. When we play less than our best, still figure out a way to win situationally, win in the fourth quarter, win running the ball, win stopping them in a 2-minute drive. There are a lot of situational things that are going to happen late in the game that even though we may have not have played our best for 58 minutes, we can still figure out how to win in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Any truth to the reports that at some point you were interested in becoming a part of the Miami Dolphins in any situation, in any circumstance? Any truth to those reports, Tom?
About me going to
joining the Dolphins in any capacity?
I mean, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, as I've had for the last 3 or 4 years in my career, about different opportunities when I'm done playing with football. So, I kind of made a decision of what I'd like to do. I'll get to be in the game of football. And I think for me, the most important thing is where I'm at now and, what I hope to do for this team.
Okay.
He didn't deny it.
He did not deny it. He did not deny it, which means it happened.
And you could tell by the way he even said, about what? Definitely wanted time to digest it, too.
Yes. Yeah. He heard the Dolphins thing. He heard it.
Yes.
Ira didn't stutter. So, yeah. And so they had the discussions. I don't think there's any question about, I'll just say, in my opinion, this retirement had a lot to do with him being upset at the end of the season that things didn't go his way. The offense, you go back and look at the offense in the first 3 quarters against the Rams, it was awful. You look at the offense, against the Saints, awful. There were times they had to come back to beat the Jets. The end of that season, when that whole AB thing went down, it crippled it. I don't want to say crippled, but it really destroyed a lot of stuff. And then Godwin getting injured as well.
Yeah.
To me, the reason the offense wasn't working, you were down your 2 best receivers, and protection was an issue against the Rams. It was There were things that were happening. They weren't able to run the football the way they wanted to. You heard him say, run the football. They got to run the football. They need more balance to keep guys off of him. That to me, so he was upset. And I think I think those discussions were happening. I think he wanted to try to try and force his way out. And when he realized he wasn't going to be able to do it, he said, okay, let's come back.
Well, I tell you what, though, I mean, that answer there, I could tell that's probably going to be one of the leads on Get Up tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think Florio probably feels very vindicated by that answer because he's had the entire community calling him out about false report. And I'm just saying, we said this a while ago, right? If Brady wanted to shut all this down, he could have spoke to the media at any time and done it, but he let it linger out there, right?
Yeah.
And here's his chance to speak with the local media. He just got asked the question by a very credible reporter that's been in this area for a long time.
Yeah. Hall of Fame voter at that. And he didn't exactly shut it down. No, he let's listen to the question and the answer again, because you're right. This is going to be the headline. And also notice how he runs into the cliche at the end. When he wants to shut down the answer,
he
runs into the we're worried about now, moving on, blah, blah, blah.
Let me see. I forgot where it started. Let's see
come
where
close
this
to
comes.
To joining the Dolphins in any capacity.
I mean, again, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people, as I've had for the last 3 or 4 years in my career, about, different opportunities when I'm done playing with football. So, I kind of made a decision of what I'd like to do. I'll get to be in the game of football. And I think for me, the most important thing is where I'm at now and
moving forward,
what I hope to do for this team. That's been my commitment to
last question.
This team and organization. It's been so much fun for me to come here 2 years ago. It's been almost 2.5 years now. And it's been an incredible part of my football journey. And it's not over, and we still got a lot to accomplish. So I got a long life ahead.
Apologizing to Bucs fans.
There's a lot of fun things to do ahead. I'm looking forward to what's ahead in football. But at the same time, none of us are promised much beyond what we have now. And this is the current moment. And I'm really excited about going out there to try to compete and win a championship.
You have a new head coach in Todd Bowles who says he sees the game the way you do. How do you think anything or what you witnessed might be different with Todd, and what he means by that? Exactly.
We have a great relationship. I mean, obviously, I played against him for a long time too. So, he's very detailed, really tough, hard-nosed coach. I mean, a little bit of a throwback. He's had some, you coach in New York, that toughens you up a lot. You coach with BA for a long time. You coach with Parcells. I mean, you get toughened up. I think he believes in a certain style of play, which is reflected in the way our defense performs. And, I think we've got to go play great complementary football between what they do defensively and what we need to do offensively, and how the kicking game relates to that. But there's been a lot of competition, throughout OTAs and through training camp. And, again, I've always loved Todd as a coach. Even when he was coaching against me, I always had a lot of respect for him, because every game we played against them, we had to go earn it. And it was some new scheme and new design, and it was nothing simple. And, that's tough for a quarterback. If you can, have that ball in the quarterback's hands and make him, question what he's doing with the ball, I think you're doing a good job. And I think Todd's done a great job with that over the years.
Finish it out. Is there anything left?
No, that was the last question.
Okay. Yeah, look, that was quintessential. Yeah, I had those conversations. Look, what Brady said at the end there is the most important. He's here now.
Yeah.
It's about the Bucs this season, what they're going to do now. He's our quarterback. Whatever happens after the season happens. Who gives a rat's ass what happened before? Who I talked to. And that's we can sit here and speculate about it and talk about it. It doesn't mean anything. It's gone. It's history. Yeah. And I think that's why he doesn't talk about it. Is it because if he gives, even what he said, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of different people. He's saying nothing. But what he's saying is, yeah, we had some. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to lie about it up here. So he's saying, yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's his freaking life. He can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yeah.
But I would just say this. Don't get it twisted. Tom Brady's about Tom Brady. There's nothing wrong with that. Tom Brady's about Tom Brady. If you want to be a fan and say Tom Brady bleeds pewter and red, no. Tom Brady's here because this was the best situation for him to win a Super Bowl. And it's still the best situation for him to win a Super Bowl. for him to win a Super Bowl. That's what I said. For him to win a Super Bowl. There's nothing wrong with that. And thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
We
I'm
love
glad
you.
it happened.
We absolutely love you. But, if you want to get all twisted up, is he out in the community like I always talk? No, and he's not going to be.
I guess there's a reason why that house was built in Miami and not here.
Exactly. And you know what? Who cares? Who cares?
Water under the bridge.
Bitch and moan about it. Would I like to see him, hanging out at OG on Davis Island and Cafe Paradiso? And I mentioned all my friends' restaurants. They'll get pissed at me. Of course we would. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's here for Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl. And guess what? We get to see it. And we get to enjoy it. And God bless him.
Still chose Tampa.
God bless him.
He still chose Tampa Bay.
Damn right he
It's
did.
been a theme of this show.
That's right. Damn right he did.
Tampa Bay made itself a destination, both as a city and as a sports franchise. All the sports franchises here.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. He chose here. It happened. If you get the one Super Bowl in 3 years, my God, that's all I need.
Yeah.
That's
it's
all I need.
already a rousing success.
It's already a success.
It's
I don't
already
care
a
what
rousing
anybody
success.
says. The
Nobody's
Bucs-
taking that Lombardi away.
The Bucs could go one and done in the playoffs again this year. And are we going to say it was underwhelming this
Nope.
season? I'll say yeah.
Sure.
But am I going to say the whole tenure was underwhelming? No.
Enjoy the
No.
ride, man.
Just
enjoy the
it.
journey.
Hopefully, the one thing I'll say is this is the last he's going to get of these questions. It's over with.
Oh, I don't know about
I
that.
think.
Well, for the next 6 weeks. He's not, any media he does between now and this is the only place where he's going to face questions that he can't control. Are these local media sessions that he's compelled to do by the NFL? I don't know if he's actually compelled to do this one, but you got to do it. So we're not, he's not. So 6 weeks are going to go. When we get back to training camp, are we going to ask more questions about the offseason? No, we're not.
And I give him credit. I mean, I said I thought he was going to speak for like 6 minutes. You said what, 10?
Yeah, I said 10 to 12.
He spoke for almost 13 minutes, which if I'm keeping track here, that's longer than anybody has spoken so far during the offseason during these Buccaneer sessions.
Yeah.
So, and he's the quarterback. I give him credit for that. He
asked and answered
answered mostly everything.
Yeah.
So you can dictate, you can read into all the answers all you want, and we certainly did here because it was just the first time we're hearing it.
And that's okay. We can have fun with this. It doesn't mean we hate Tom Brady. It doesn't mean we're, but again, don't get it twisted. And the same thing goes for 90% of these players. It's about them. And that's okay. That's fine. We're all about our own self-interest for the most part. So good for him. And so if it's like, so what if he talked to the dog? Oh, was he, oh, hey, I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, so I don't want to talk about my future at all to anyone else. No. And all these other reports are just Stephen Ross running his mouth that, he wants the Miami Dolphins to be relevant and wants himself to be relevant, wants to take the heat off himself for the ridiculous way he handled the Brian Flores situation. So he was trying to make a big splash and get people to stop talking about that. And it was a pipe dream. It was a pipe dream. It was never going to happen. And to the Bucs' credit, and I'm going to keep reiterating this, they played it perfectly. They played it absolutely perfectly. And full marks to Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles, Jason Light, Brian Ford, the Glazer family played it perfectly because you know what? The best outcome. Tom Brady is your effing quarterback for this season with one of the greatest schedules, a jam-packed Raymond James Stadium. Let's fucking go. Let's
Well
go.
said.
It's all done. I don't give a shit if you talk to Man United, PSG, Miami Dolphins, the freaking Boston Celtics. I don't care. He's at our mini camp, and he's going to be wearing a Bucs uniform. He ain't getting traded to the Dolphins. That ain't happening. So, F it all. It's done. Let's go.
On that note,
Yes.
2 minutes left in the show here. We do have the biggest story still, besides Tom Brady, is Game 5 tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs. The Lightning are out on optional skate, well attended. Braden Point, I don't know if you had a chance to see, is out tonight.
He's out tonight.
John Cooper just confirmed that.
Okay.
He was out there skating, though, as he's been, but still not going to be there tonight. Still waiting to see what's going to happen with Strome and Hedl. But there you go for the Lightning.
So no Braden Point tonight. 8 o'clock puck drop. Amalie Arena is the official watch party, which I will be at tonight. Going to be hanging out there. Come say hello. It's going to be wonderful inside. Don't worry about the rain, anything like that. It's all inside, not outside. $10 tickets going to the Lightning Foundation. So get your tickets. Come join us. And we're going to have a great time. We're going to, Greg
Wolf and the whole Lightning Vision team will be doing their thing. So you get the Lightning, you get the Paul Porter calls, you get everything just like you're watching the game at Madison Square Garden, except it doesn't smell as bad. And everything else is much more beautiful here. Easier to get in and get out, and chances are you won't get mugged. So they got that going for us, right? Which is fantastic.
Of course we do.
So, yeah, I'll be there for the watch party tonight. Hope you will join us as well.
Ooh.
And we got so much to get to tomorrow. The Jack Del Rio comments that are going crazy. We'll play it all tomorrow, but great show today.
And last thing on the Lightning too, because I've been interested to see what they're going to do 12-6, 11-7. He said same lineup as Tuesday. So it looks like they are going to stick with the 12-6.
12-6. I like that.
Even on the road.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go.
11-7 didn't work in New York.
No, it did not.
Switch it up. All right. Our thanks to Dave Mishkin, who joined us. That was a fabulous conversation, not just about this Lightning team, but just championship teams in general. Always a great conversation with Mish. Really appreciate him coming on. That was in the 10:30 segment. If you want to go back and listen to that. And then we had everything. Just fun show today. This is kind of what we do each and every day, folks. 2 hours, Tampa Bay centric stuff, the best guests, the best topics, everything about Tampa Bay sports that we love so much. Join us each and every day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Bolts!